Today I'm going to give you a quick introduction overview of StuffSoftware's TrafficFinder Telecommunications traffic analysis software. There's several tabs up the top of the software, and I'm going to pick the first tab here as just a basic calculator. And the calculator can be based on all of these different models. When you select a model, over here on the right, it gives you a graphical representation and a narrative about how that traffic model works. Like for instance, if we're using Poison, it shows you that the assumption is infinite sources are coming in, block calls are held, and they're lost forever. Service calls are served in random order, and all you do is you select either Erlangs or CCS, and then you decide what unknown you're looking for here. Let's say for instance you don't know how many trunks. You have a total of 95 Erlangs and you want your blocking to be at 1%. So all you do is you just press the unknown trunks and we come up with 95 trunks under that scenario. And this just gives you an analysis of how your traffic was serviced. Next tab is the trunk estimator. This is based on profiles from various industries. In this case we're using let's just say banks and financial institutions, and typically they would have 36% incoming traffic, 40% outgoing, and 24% internal traffic, and you can change these to anything that you want. And you select a model, how many users you have, desired grade of service, and it calculates your traffic flow, incoming, outgoing, and internal, and gives you a little narrative about that traffic. Next tab is Erlang B overflow traffic. This shows you how traffic is flown through a Erlang B model, where calls come in to the first trunk and they're overflowed to each subsequent trunk. And you can show a grid of that. The agent calculator, this uses different scenarios. Let's say for instance you have 2,000 calls per hour and you're not sure how many agents you need under a certain call duration assumption. You just hit the unknown, it calculates 277 agents and gives you some statistics down here. Like for instance, 100% of your calls are answered in 104 seconds, 88% of the calls are answered in 15 seconds. The peaked traffic model, also known as the Neil Wilkinson traffic model, uses a primary trunk group and an overflow trunk group. Calls are serviced from the primary trunk group and then are overflowed to the overflow trunk group, and some are serviced, some are blocked. And depending on what blocking you want, you just put in the blocking and it tells you how many CCS flows through that group, how many flow into the primary group, and how much traffic flows into the overflow group. This tab is just basic traffic tables. You pick a traffic model and you tell it how many trunks you want to analyze, and you build the table. And the table, once the table is built, it tells you you can pick different blocking increments here, and then once you're done with that table you can export it to Excel or into a grid where you can copy and paste into another table. Voice over Internet Protocol, this tells you how much bandwidth you would need to accommodate a certain number of speech paths based on a certain codec. So you pick a codec, like for instance pulse code modulation at 48 kilobits per second, and you can change the packet format, overhead bits, etc., and it tells you what your total delay is and what your total bandwidth is. And that just gives you a basic overview of TrafficFinder software.